back to another episode of the Supply Chaney podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Chaney. Today we are coming to you live from a unique location here in Forney, Texas, inside of a Barrett Distribution Center. And we're going to be talking about fulfillment. I've had over 100 podcast guests on so far, and I think this might be one of the first ones that I'm talking to a true warehouse operator. And I love talking sales and marketing as well on this side of the industry, so we're going to dig into both sides of that conversation with Bryan from Barrett. You want to take a second, just do a quick little intro?
Yeah, Bryan Corbett, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Barrett Distribution. I've been in the industry for a long time. I've been in supply chain for 25 years. Mm-hmm. So, is that good?
Okay, all right, that'll work. Bryan, before we get into the details, into the weeds, boxes, fulfillment rates, OTIFs, and all that sort of good stuff, curious just what your background is. Like, where are you from? What kind of kid were you? You know, what was family life like? Yeah.
Sure. So I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay. I was born a long time ago. What kind of kid was I? I think I was a good kid. I was just thinking the other day about my dad and Father's Day, and you know, I think that I was raised. My dad on report card day would say, "Did you do your best?" Okay. You know, and so he was setting me up for a lifetime of doubt, self-doubt, and work harder.
Yeah,
and I think that
I can channel that. I'm right there with you. Okay. Always do your best.
Did you do? No, did you do your best? Yeah. No, I love my dad, and he was diabolical because he truly meant it. And he was, and you know, whatever gifts God gives you, are you doing your best with them? And so I was raised with that mentality, I think, and it pays off in supply chain, especially because there's always problems and there's always mistakes and there's always things to fix. Yeah. You can always come home at the end of the day and ask, did you do your best? And so that's the most important thing, I think, in my life. But career-wise, you know, I started a company in college. I was 20 in my dorm room. This is when eBay was cool, or before Amazon. And, you know, I was selling electronics out of my dorm room. And around 2001, started a company. It turned into a reverse logistics business right out of college in a townhome with a friend of mine. And then that morphed into multiple warehouses, hiring all my 2 or 3 of my best friends, and wearing sweatpants to work every day, which is funny because I remember my mother telling me, you know, you're gonna have to get a job and do this and that, and you're not gonna be able to dress like this. And you know, and I remember her coming in when I was 25 and seeing 2 of my elementary school friends, 2 guys smarter than me, and we built a really good business. You know, and then 2009, credit crisis, this and that, a couple things went sideways, ended up shutting that down and started another company, champtires.com, and we sold tires online, again, warehousing and distribution. So this will segue into maybe some other questions and why I'm in this industry. As we always self-fulfilled, we were always running our warehouses. I moved to Chicago then to open up a second location. We were running a chaotic storage system and didn't know it, you know, printing our own barcodes, you know, basically operating. And so, you know, 18 years of entrepreneurship, and then I came into the supply chain world through a friend. I just decided I didn't want to own a business anymore, which is like backwards, you know.
It's like, a little bit of a hustle.
It's also backwards where, you know, a lot of people work in big corporate and they say, oh, they want to save up money and then start their own business. I did everything the opposite, and you know, I love what I do now, but you know, it's I have no desire to really go back and do that again. So when I was thinking about, you know, what I want to do next with my life, I feel like I've lived 10 different lives, and I'm, you know, in my late 40s going on 80 in a way, you know, and so I kind of segued into the supply chain contract logistics world. I worked at a company called Warehouse Anywhere for a short time, and then quickly came over to Kenco, and we set up their e-com fulfillment program. You know, a ton of big accounts, a lot of success. Was there for 4 or 5 years, and then I came over to Barrett through a friend, Harrison Smith, recruited me to come over here, and the rest is history. So it's been 4 years here now. But when I think of your question is good around like, okay, what, you know, life has to be lived moving forward, right? But it can only be understood looking backward, right? And so I look back at my life and think, how do I get here? I have no idea what tomorrow brings, but you know, I think, well, geez, I was running my own warehouse for 18 years. And now being on the commercial side, I don't feel like we sell anything really. We're the best contract logistics people that I know are all operators, and they've either run a building themselves or they've lived in warehouses their whole life. You know, I've unloaded trucks with pallet jacks. I mean, I've done it all. It's carpal tunnel with the U-line tape gun. So I think these things matter when you're on the sales side and the commercial side. When you're talking to clients, what do they need? What are they looking for in a supply chain partner? All these things paid off for me to be able to, for me to do my job now.
Sure.
You know, even on the marketing side. So maybe that gives you a little insight into into my past.
That's the whole Spark Notes version there. Let's pull on some threads there a little bit. So when you were in high school, so you were an entrepreneur early. But what was like your first job? Like, was that mowing yards?
It sounds like you had a similar.
That was. I think all logistic people came from
if you're not
mowing
cutting
yards.
grass at 12, what are you doing with your life? Right? You know, as a normal middle class guy. No, 12 years old, cutting lawns. All my neighbors. I had the whole neighborhood. I remember taking all my money and buying Street Fighter 2 for the Super Nintendo, right? This will age me. But I was saving up all your money to go to, KB Toys and buy a video game. So my parents encouraged me to work. I would like to think they expected me to, and they never had to push me for that. I wanted to make money. You know, I wanted to have money. I wanted to be able to like a girl at 16 and go to the movies and be able to pay for stuff. Right? So. No, from an early age, I've always worked. I don't know a life of not working.
All right.
And then, I delivered pizza for a little while because that was the big cash job, until my dad found out that there was no insurance on the car when you were driving around. Right, so that quickly ended. And then my senior year of high school, I probably had the most transformational job of kind of setting me. I'm from Pittsburgh, so a lot of dads work in the mill. And I worked at a steel plant, with heat and hammers. And like right now in Texas, this isn't hot. Let me tell you about the hot mill in Butler, PA, when they're pouring, liquid steel down. And somebody dies every year, right? Like when a body can fall in and the whole place. I mean, it's just serious stuff. So, I worked around men, like real tough men. And I decided I needed to go to college as well. Like I knew I was already going, but it was a reinforcement. But I also received my highest paycheck ever, my first 2 weeks in my sophomore year in college or freshman year in college, and I remember it was first paycheck I ever received, over $1,000, whatever it was. But thinking, man, it was hard work. It was the hardest job I ever had, and it really just kind of reminded me of like, hey. There's different paths in life, and if God gives you a brain and a good work ethic, and you can do bigger things, right? So I was ready to go to school after the summer. But yeah, shout out Pulva. I grinded my teeth there. I came home with holes in my clothes and from all the fire and the sparks. We used to grind down hammer mills. This is boring probably. But they use these hammers to, like Hershey's chocolate would grind up chocolate with them, and they were precision tools, and it was my friend's dad's plant. And it was me and two of my friends at 19 working with people 2 or 3 times our age. And we got picked on. We were like we had the lunch breaks and like got made fun of. But then I realized I think they liked us a little bit, maybe. Having the young, it's invigorating having the young folks around you. For me now.
Now you kind of start.
And now I realize I'm like, maybe those guys liked us. They give us a lot of crap, but like, it's nice to have the young guys. So anyway.
All right. So you were a bit of a workaholic kind of person growing up. Like I'm in the same boat with you, but I'm curious. What you had to have a little bit of fun. Like, were there some sports, or were you on the chess team? Like, what'd you do for fun?
I played basketball, tennis. I played all the sports.
All right.
Then I played tennis in college for a year. I tried out in basketball, didn't make it in college. But yeah, passionate about. I played all the sports. All year. Basketball was all year round. I barely practiced tennis, but it's definitely my best sport. And I still play today, and I play golf and do all the things. But tennis is a natural thing for me. And individual sports are fun and challenging and mental. The mental load is high.
What is your thoughts on pickleball then, as a tennis player?
I just can't.
No.
So I live in Tampa now, and the sound of the ball at 6 a.m. just like, what is this sport that everyone's playing? Look,
yeah.
I have a racket, a ball. My sister bought me one for Christmas. Haven't used it.
Okay.
I can still play tennis competitively, so I know there'll be eventually maybe a crossover, and I know it translates. But no, there's a lot of pickleball people watching. I have to be careful. No, it's fine. I think it's good. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, I don't play it yet.
I'm one of those folks. I also played tennis all through high school, some in college, and I'm a convert into the pickleball world.
Yeah, well,
because
tell me.
Because it's social. Like, I am a social butterfly,
fair.
right? So it's the thing that you don't need to have a court reservation. You roll up with your Miller Lite in your Yeti, and you play some pickleball, and it's social, and it's fun, and it's exercise.
Okay. Totally true. In Tampa, it's a scene. Girls, guys, couples.
80-year-olds and 8-year-olds.
Yeah, no, it's social. It's social.
Yeah. So that's kind of it.
I get that. I think for me, I'm not there yet. I'll get there. It's like running I still run, but as the knees give, and I know eventually I'm gonna bike, and eventually I'm gonna be walking. Yeah. And so you do whatever God lets you do.
Right.
With the body that you have left. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. As I know I'm going to be on the pickleball court at some point.
Okay.
And I probably will be soon, because my best friend just moved to Tampa, and he's all about it. So I'm like, all right, I'll play.
Okay.
I'd be ready to get smashed. I haven't even played before.
Tennis players convert really, really well. So the people that you'll find on the pickleball court is ping pong players, racquetball players, tennis players, badminton players.
Makes sense.
And you can actually see it in their style of playing, where they came from, kind of. It's kind of
100%.
It's kind of
I can
fun.
see that.
So, all right. So we kind of got a little bit of an understanding of Bryan, the human, the worker, the entrepreneur, the creator, the builder. Let's talk about a little bit that first business that you kind of stood up. Well, what were you studying in school? I guess?
Finance. Yeah, I was a finance major.
Okay.
My logic was, I wanted to study the most specialized side of business.
Okay.
But I also went to a liberal arts college, so it was humanities. I had to take 2 years of accounting. It was a unbelievable education. Shout out Grove City College, one of the best universities or colleges in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I never had any TAs. Really good teachers. Everything they do there is unbelievable.
Okay.
But so I was a finance major, and because it felt specialized, and I still had to take all the other business classes. So that set me on this finance path. I'm a finance guy.
Yeah.
In my head. It all, again, you look back and think it all makes sense. Everything in people's lives makes sense when you look back.
Yeah.
But no, I was a finance major, and I did one interview with a local mutual fund bank, or a bank that a mutual fund business.
Yeah.
And one interview, and I was like, I'm going to start my business.
Okay.
I already had a successful. I was making money in college.
Yeah.
We were doing $100,000 of sales every month. It was like a legitimate business.
Yeah.
And I just remember the interview was just so off-putting. It was so I was not. It was like I maybe rubbed the guy the wrong way, but I just felt like he was like it was like, why should we why should we want you here? And I'm like you should want me, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
If you don't want me, I don't want you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was maybe a little hubris in my head, but I just felt like this wasn't the right fit for me.
Yeah.
Banking, I'm like that, not for me.
Well, and you'd kind of already like you were saying,
I already had success.
You'd already proven that you're capable of bringing value.
Yeah. I expected it to go a little differently. If I was checking a box though, and I was like telling my dad, I was like, hey, I'm going to interview. Because my business, maybe this isn't the right thing for me. I gave it the college effort. Did a couple interviews. It was with Federated. It was a big mutual fund company in Pittsburgh. Good job, but I wasn't impressed with him.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Be impressed with the people that interview you. If you have value and you're it's not arrogant. It's just confident in what you can do and the value that you can bring and the abilities that you have. I think the young people need to. It doesn't mean you should be arrogant, rude, and not respectful, right? I work on that too. But when I was 22, feeling like you have the world to offer someone, know who you are. And be true to yourself and do the right thing.
So that business that you started, let's talk a little bit. What was the inspiration? How did it start?
So the original inspiration was and it still actually happens to this day. All the arbitrage with the internet coming out, with websites selling different prices. and this is finance driven, right? Where, new websites were starting, selling things at vastly different pricing. There was a lot of pricing inefficiency. And so we would buy in bulk and resell things on eBay. The same way people sell on Amazon today. Literally, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
It's just different channels, different markets, different products. And so there's one good story. I'll tell you one good story. So,
I like it. Okay.
All right. So as I was growing this reselling business, in essence, a reseller, this is how you create your own luck. People talk about getting lucky, but you get lucky by doing. And so I was just doing, and we stumbled across a company called SX, and they were a liquidator in Tennessee. And I didn't know they were one of the largest ones in the country, like reverse logistics, right? And a guy reached out to us on eBay and said, hey, he noticed that we were buying his products and reselling them. And I didn't even know that, but he was generally impressed with what we were doing. He's like, how are you guys doing this during this volume? And it was just me and another guy. And so we got invited to Comdex, which I'm not sure if you're too young to even know what that is. Comdex was the conference before CES.
Okay.
So back in the day, it was every September. It was October, November, and it was a conference for electronics, computer products, whatever. It was more old school.
Yeah.
And he invited us as a guest to Vegas. I'd never been. I'm 23, 24. And he paid for the ticket, he paid for this and that. And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go. And so he wanted to meet us. And he invited us to this dinner at Mandalay Bay. I'm 24 years old, have people twice my age. And we go to Charlie Palmer's at the Four Seasons, right? Big steakhouse. There's like 20 guys in the back room, literally 40, 50, like twice my age.
Yeah.
And I'm just having fun along for the ride. In fact, I ordered, this funny things you remember. I remember looking at the menu thinking, I don't even know half these foods.
Right.
And I ordered the carpaccio thinking it was like the steak. It is, but it's like raw, right? And so this is the dumb things I'm doing. Because I'm like, I just want to get some like cooked red meat.
Yeah.
No, I got the raw, yeah. And anyway, at the end of the dinner, when they were wine, the bill is like $6,000, $7,000, which back then, maybe that's nothing today. I don't know.
Yeah.
But back then, 20 some years ago, it was a very large bill. Yeah. And I turned to my partner at the time, and I was like, we should pay. We should pick up the tab. Okay. I didn't know. Like these are a bunch of guys. I knew nobody except two guys. And everyone there was like, who are these
kids?
College kids? Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
because
sure.
ageism, people look at you differently. And he thought I was crazy, and I was probably. But I pull out my Chase card, and I'm like, I'm gonna get dinner. And the whole place just goes bananas. And so, it was like, yo, cheers to these kids. They went crazy. Little did I know, and after the dinner, business cards. After dinner, I didn't realize that the whole table was filled with the top account for HP's reseller, Lexmark, Dell, like all these giant resellers of products in this business that I'm in. For that one gesture was like, it's just immediately plugged in to the whole industry. Yeah. All of them asking what we do, how they can sell us product, and because back then, really it's about moving tonnage, moving product, selling 2,000 laptops to a university or whatever. And so that one dinner just set me off on a path.
Wow.
It's just another. It's always been a reminder that just doing nice things for people and maybe taking a little risk. I'm talking a lot.
No, you're good. You're good.
Taking, just being a good person and bringing donuts and buying dinner.
Yeah.
And these are like staples in business, right? Anyway, that was a fun, good story of how I didn't have $5,000 to buy a dinner.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing I ever did. One of the best things I ever did. I'll never forget it.
If we take that full circle and we start to kind of like zoom forward in the timeline to today, one thing as I'm talking to sales and revenue leaders is like this cheap curated dinners seems to be the thing to do now again, right?
Very cheap.
That you get a lot of bang for your buck, bringing in strategic folks, getting them around a table, having some food and conversation. And like there was a time when really big conferences, there's still a time and place for the big conferences and stuff. There's a time and place for the small dinners as well. But let's start unpacking a little bit like the day-to-day right now. So we're sitting in Barrett Distribution's center facility here in North Texas. Tell us about Barrett in general. What do y'all do? Who's your ideal customer? Yeah, all the things.
Yeah, Barrett Distribution Centers is a family-owned, third-generation, obviously privately held, mid-market 3PL. Started in, we're headquarters in Franklin, right outside of Boston. We have we fluctuate between 23 and 26 facilities, depends on when you ask us.
Yeah.
This is our second Dallas regional facility, about 900,000 square feet. We have a campus region in Memphis, about 5 buildings there. We have 3 in New Jersey, 2 in California, headquarters in Franklin. But our bread and butter is mid-market, enterprise, Fortune 500, but also e-com brands. Mm-hmm. Really, we consider ourselves a level up partner, not because we think we are, just because that's what companies tell us we are. Truthfully, I never came up with that phrase, like, hey, let's market us as no. It's companies like Kulani Keeney's, where they ran their facility for 10 years in Australia, and they need to level up to a larger partner in the U.S. Delta Galileo, Primeline. We have most of our customers. We're not usually a first 3PL.
Okay.
We're an omni-channel retail B2B 3PL that specializes in really kind of growing beyond D2C. Now D2C, we do have startups here, and we have a good program for it, and we've adapted to kind of take on new accounts that way. In fact, some of our largest client, UFOS, started with us as an idea 12 years ago. So we don't want to get away from our roots of that.
Right.
But generally speaking, Barrett, we have people here who have been here 15, 20 years, and that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You're paying for omni-channel experience. You're paying for no chargebacks. You're paying for you're paying for scalability on the employee side, where we have the network to bring in 100 people for 3 days if we need to, if companies want to pay for it. It's also the industry's forced that in a way, because it's easier than ever to start a 3PL.
Yeah.
There's no barriers. The software is ubiquitous. We could start Nate and Bryan Fulfillment Company, and if we did that, what would be the first thing that we did? Was we would D2C brands who are on Shopify using a different WMS, and we consider that kind of table stakes now of the industry. It's become a commodity, but that's still important, right? So we do that here still. What's up, Bill? We still do that here now. Come on in. Come on, say hi. What's up, Bill? How you doing?
Hey, man. Morning. Bill, Nathan.
We're filming a thing.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize you were filming. I'm like, I'm sitting there.
No, it's good.
Yeah. All right. So all those things are table stakes today.
Yeah. So it's So we've morphed into this a larger provider, but we're also not global. So we know who we are. We're not Geodis. We're not. We do compete with them on mid-market deals, but if you need a warehouse in Portugal, Spain, we don't have that.
Yeah.
So it's a good niche. And then I think the other thing is that we are known and there's probably 4 or 5 really pure play 3PLs in our space that we consider that do this too, but we flex a lot. If you look, you can't see. If you look around, there's 3 distinctly different solutions running right now.
Okay.
There's some on robotics. Kulani's still on a manual because their profile. Primeline's, they have garage doors going to Home Depot. And then we have locust spots over here. So and then in Memphis we do stitching for Roback. So it's like, a lot of companies they don't do a lot of that vast, like customization. So we're willing to get our hands wet in multiple areas. And so what you find is our client portfolio tends to be premium brands who have a lot of niche things themselves, gift pack outs, just a lot of. So we embrace the things that other companies don't want to touch.
Yeah.
But we also have wonderful clients who want to pay for it, and they find value in that. So that's our fit.
I like it. We go to a lot of conferences. We see a lot of solutions out there coming onto the market. Like you were saying, it's pretty easy, low barrier of entry to start a 3PL, and it also is quite easy to start a WMS, to start this company. You have so many different tools at your disposal. I guess how do you all kind of evaluate and think about those different technologies and innovations and systems to implement to up your service, I guess, to your customers? And,
so it's a really good question, because I think if I'm honest, and I will be, our ability to not chase some of those things is a feature, not a bug. I've noticed this, and especially at Kenco. I was at Kenco for 4 years, very great company, similar but not similar to ours, where sometimes it would feel like, you know, we might be not even slower to do things, but like just simply not chasing something, simply not doing that, right? Simply not adding a robotic solution just because it's sexy. What I found, at my experience, is the payload on many of these things is not coming out the way people think. Now, it just depends. The auto stores are great, Locus, we run it now, but it's much more narrow than people think. And I think our ability to really lock in on what we know is our lane, which is, you know, omni-channel, customization, fast, special kitting. Like, you know, Kulani just did a drop for the runway show in Miami. We put together like 400 kits with 70 eaches in it, like in 3 days, and there were no mistakes. So like we can do that because we can pull labor. Like these are like staying locked into your thing, and prevents you from making a lot of mistakes with CapEx. And so I think that's been like, to answer your question, like we're still built. We have a custom WMS off of Synapse, and we have a team of 50 some folks in IT. We're building on top of it. But there's been some WMSs that we haven't just added just because we haven't done some. And I think the reason why, and we're profitable, right? We're not, you know, we have no debt and we make money here. So it's still human driven, Nate. Like, you know this. Like, you look around. People drive this industry still, and I think what Elon said. It turns out humans are pretty good at things. Remember when he tried to automate his whole warehouse for Tesla? And your rockets.
They tried it. They took it all out.
And he said it turns out humans are pretty good at things. So, you know, expensive lesson. And so we dabble. We're dabbling into things. We don't present a custom solution to a client just because it's tech. Because that ends up costing us, by the way. Customers can leave, customers can, you know, but when we make investments in capital, in equipment and solutions, you really want to make sure it's actually driving costs down. If it doesn't, it becomes a liability for us. You know, companies come in and out. We've been around for 85 years. Companies, you know, succeed, they go bankrupt, you know, hopefully we'll still be here. You know, so we have to be very careful with that.
Makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. You know, I think there's probably some nuggets for folks to pull out of that, both if their other 3PL operators are building something or those vendors, you know, take some notes there. I'm curious. I like to talk about, you know, when I'm talking to someone that's in the sales and marketing function, what does that look like in today's age? You know, like your go-to-market, you've got websites, you got social media, you've got conferences, you've got a sales team. I guess like what are some of the tools that you use to grow and like get out in front of your customers?
So on the commercial side, in enterprise contract logistics, we'll say, which is a little different than, you know, D2C, where you know, a little different than just handing out a price sheet. You know. It's important, again, I think that the successful commercial teams in our industry have relationships with consultants, clients, referral, like people like yourself. I mean, they just do, because the decision making it's risk mitigation. It's not just who's going to do the job at the cheapest rates. In fact, that's not a fit. These are larger departments where they're going to outsource a function of their business that represents 30% of their company. They're not going to do it to somebody they don't know. And they're not going to off of a Google ad, right?
And it's the most customer-facing, customer-touching part of the business, right?
Like
a lot of trust needs to be there.
Like so much trust. So it helps if Nate Chaney says, "Oh, I know this company," or "I know this person," or, you know. So that's very old school, but it's just very real. So a lot of our time and energy is spent. And it's not just from a referral. It's from knowing that there's a successful one in the past, right? Where, you know, it's one thing to know Bryan, but it's another to say, oh, I referred Bryan a company already and they're crushing it. So you have to nail that from top to bottom. You have to get onboardings right. Like, I don't hand off. I'm friends with my clients. Not just friends with them, I want them to succeed. And that generates new business in the future. So it's very much a long game in our industry, because nobody wants to lose their job over picking the wrong 3PL. We don't want to see any business suffer. We only grow when other companies grow with us. Okay, so that's one thing. Now the marketing side is interesting, because you still need to, we need to show up in AI results. We need to be on Google results. We need to have a good LinkedIn presence. It drives a different type of lead generation, right? But a lot of those types of companies that are driven in those ways, they're newer businesses. They don't know anyone. I mean, if you already know who the best companies are, you're not using Google, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time. The brand awareness is important, but not just that, but elevating our customers. I talk about our customers all the time, because that's way more impactful than hearing Bryan, my vested interest in selling Barrett.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, wouldn't you rather hear about Kulani than Barrett? And so we do a lot of branding. We elevate our clients. We talk about their products. We do promotional things for them. You might have
to that end.
Now it's been new, by the way. Like, a lot of it's very.
I was gonna say, traditional folks are like, hold this very close to the vest. We don't want people to know who we are. We don't know that they're using a 3PL. That sort of thing.
That might be
and
true.
And some people are just like, you know what, we'll own it. If those folks think they can get better service somewhere else, I don't know. It seems like you all are not afraid to say, look,
we take risks. We have some big logos, and look, some companies, like, I won't mention them, because now they have licensing things, and their whole business is built on their logo and their license. So I get it. Like, we don't. Somebody says, hey, take that down. We don't want to talk. That's cool. It has nothing to do with it. It's not a personal thing, or not a reflection on Barrett. But generally speaking, in today's day and age, their clients are on TikTok. They're on Instagram. They think it's cool to be in the warehouse. We've had the Kulani team came down and did videos, like, in the warehouse. They're in Australia. Why would they pretend that they're in the U.S.? So what they found is customers like to see the journey of the product.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I'd say that it's much more often than not. It's as long as you're doing a good job, right?
Yeah, you're all right.
Doing a good job.
Nothing to worry about.
Getting orders out, not making mistakes. It's free. We have a pretty good reach.
Yeah.
And a lot of our customers are selling products to everybody. I can't fit a women's bathing suit, but the reality is that I know that we drive business for our customers, and we're their champion.
Yeah.
And I sell that to them. So if I'm selling that to them on the front end, it's not the reason why they come to Barrett, but it's certainly an ancillary benefit.
Sure.
That Kat's done 15 unboxing videos. It drives business. It drives partnership. And you can't fake it.
Sure.
Like, we're not faking it. It's my customers become my friends. We don't hand off. I helped Bill that just came by. He runs this whole region. He's one of my best friends of the company. So when we sell other companies in here, they get me. They get Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, he's RVP. So these are things that I think people like to see.
Yeah.
Again, risk mitigation. It's always nice to have some people who can get things done, and I've seen that this building has become a champion for the clients in this building.
Okay.
And that's what we sell.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan, I'm glad, we have had some sort of like a touch and go sort of like relationship at conferences for like a year or two now. And so
you're the man, so I have questions for you.
What's that?
No, continue. I have a good one for you.
No, I just wanted to say, like, just kind of in wrapping things up here, really good to be in one of your facilities here. I'm looking forward to kind of touring around and seeing kind of what makes things tick here. And appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your story.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're one of the first sort of 3PL operators to come in and chat. So logistics and supply chain is a big old world.
It is.
And so I just appreciate you taking some time and spending it with me.
Thank you very much. You're not going to get away without me asking the question, though. So I'm going to ask. Okay.
All right.
I need to know, Nate Chaney, supply Chaney. You are everywhere. How do you do it? How do you do it? I looked at your schedule, brother. You are every week. You're doing like one of the most active people in our industry. What's it been like? What's it been like this past year? Because the program that you started has been wonderful for us, and this isn't even this is promotional for you. But I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm generally curious. What's it been like?
It feels organic. It feels like what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay.
It feels like the thing I was made to do.
Good.
You know, it's taking the things that I like, being a little creative with a camera, talking to people, traveling, and having just a little bit carpe diem, just seize the day, just have some fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to take the, 10, 15 years of industry experience I've had, building and running facilities, fleets of trucks, doing all the things, and now I get to kind of turn that on its head and look at it from the other side and go talk to the folks that are doing that on a daily basis, and just be a voice and share those stories.
Your reach has been incredible.
It's easy,
congratulations.
It's fun, it doesn't really feel like a job, right? When you like what you're doing. So
I've been impressed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll take that right there, and let's go take a walk.
All right, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.